I don't know why Brian is knocking dark mode so much.
I know, I'm with you on this, Serina.
Every time I hear this statement come out of Apple or anything, I always think of the $6 Million Man. Bigger, stronger, faster, and everything's always the best. I have no idea how you pronounce that company's name. Jeff, how do you pronounce that company's name?
What are you talking about? Linksys?
Linksys, exactly.
You don't know how to say Linksys?
Links, how do you say it again?
Links.
Links?
Is.
Linksys. Really funny, Serena, because he kept saying voice control, open pages, voice control, open Safari. and then I'm like, hey, try doing it without saying voice control to see if it works. And sure enough, it did.
I'm glad I get to edit this because you make me sound like an idiot. Wait, back up. Did you say, who's Marlon?
Is that a wizard? What?
You haven't listened to That Blind Tech Show lately?
I listened to the last one because I pulled a very funny clip from it.
Hey Serena, my name is Marlon. I am from Trinidad. That's an island in the Caribbean.
So Jeff does not follow Apple's recommendations to back your phone up to iTunes before upgrading to a beta software. Are you really going there right now?
No, I'm not going to go there. We'll cut that out.
Brian didn't even read it, so he probably doesn't even know what we're talking about.
I do. Jeff had to explain it to me.
What?
Good morning, and welcome to WWDC 2019.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to yet another That Blind Tech Show. I'm here today to discuss all the latest comings and goings of WWDC with Serena Gilbert. How you doing today, Serena?
I am doing fantastic. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing great, and we're also here with a yawny Jeff Thompson, who yawned during your introduction. It was very rude, but we got you up here at that late hour, Jeff.
Wait a second. I didn't yawn.
Oh, then who yawned? Who else is on this call?
Was it you, Brian?
Am I that tired that I'm not even noticing my own yawns?
I have a mute button.
Okay. Oh, you have a mute button.
So he yawned, but he muted it.
Yeah.
Well, wait. You can't hear me because I turned it off.
Okay.
You thought you turned it off.
Well, your mute button yawned, so...
You guys don't know what I'm doing while you guys are talking.
I just know you're podcasting in the nude. That's all I know. So, Serena, I have a beef to pick with you before we roll into all the exciting announcements from WWDC. You are now known as my Hulu nemesis, because you put such a polite tweet out there to Hulu a few weeks ago that Twitter wanted to tell me about. I guess it's because I blast them on Twitter, stating that I thought it was reprehensible on their part to come out with needing sighted assistance to turn on the audio description function. But did you ever hear back from Hulu? You had a much nicer approach.
They actually immediately replied.
Really?
Yeah.
A note to the listener. Honey attracts more flies than vinegar.
And what'd they have to say?
It was pretty useless. It's like, we're working on it, we know. And I'm like, well, keep us posted. It's pretty frustrating that we can't access this independently.
Yeah. So, hey, I did find out somewhere else. I heard that Hulu has till the end of the year. So maybe December 31st, by midnight, when the clock ticks, blind people will be able to turn on the video description.
Twitter. Blindy Blog and Roy Samuelson just retweeted AD Project's photo. 17 shows were recently added to hashtag Hulu with hashtag audio description, including 91-1, Bob's Burgers, Border Town, Empire, Marvel's Runaways, Prison Break, The Last Man on Earth, The X-Files. Not all seasons have description yet.
But we're not here to talk about Hulu. We had a lot of great Apple announcements, and we're just going to dive right in.
Oh, hey Jeff.
Hey, Marlon. We're recording.
Brian didn't introduce you. I just thought you should know.
He what?
He just didn't introduce you.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Why that? I got this.
Okay, bye.
Excuse me?
Yes. Did you have something you wanted to say about Hulu?
No, I wanted to say, and also with us on this is Jeff Thompson, and I'm doing pretty good, you guys. How you guys doing?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I interrupted you with the Yawn Gate. I guess we'll call it Yawn Gate. How are you doing today, Jeff?
Why, thank you. Glad you asked. I'm doing pretty good. It's raining and storming here. I hope that everything goes good with the internet. And Serena's on here. How are you doing, Serina?
I get asked twice. I feel so special.
Oh, yeah.
I am doing great. How are you doing, Brian?
It's nice to be asked. I am doing fantastically well. I'm actually training with my new guide dog, and I can now mention his name publicly. His name is Wes. He's 2 years, 7 months, and I've been told he's a big-time cutie. But we had our first trip into Manhattan today, so maybe that was me yawning, because, getting exercise and off the couch is not something that I do on a daily basis. Yeah, it's excited to be here, and I actually had a work-related thing yesterday, so I, for the first time in several years, missed all of WWDC, and it was really disappointing, because after reading about everything, I think it might have been the first time in a few years that I wouldn't have fallen asleep during WWDC. But I'm here with two people who did catch it. I've read up on it, and we're going to jump right in with the Apple TV, starting off probably with the least exciting thing. But multiple user accounts coming to the Apple TV, which, Serina, having a husband and a child, that might be something that's useful to you.
Yeah, I actually think it's great because I'm wondering if maybe there's some settings that we can set so that if my kid logs onto the Apple TV, he's not getting, Game of Thrones recommended to him or Veep, So I'm actually looking forward to that, to have a little bit more customized apps that maybe we can limit his access to things.
That's great to be able to have that, and I guess it's one level above parental controls. So how about yourself there, Jeff? You've got a wife and a kid and a farm and a pig. Do you plan to make use of these multiple users with the Apple TV?
Well, of course, because every time I get on there, I don't watch TV that much. It's just so diluted with so many recommendations for me. So if I can divide it up, that'd be really nice.
tvOS also delivers Apple Music. And now with multi-user support, everyone in the home gets their own personalized music experience. You're going to be able to see lyrics to your favorite songs in sync with the music. This is really cool. This is the best music experience on television.
I'm not sure this working with voiceover is really going to help your karaoke swag. You know what I mean? Did you want more? Are you guys quiet?
Actually, I think that's all we have for the Apple TV. There weren't a lot of announcements for the Apple TV. And, honestly, I haven't used mine in years, so I probably just keep going. I love the Fire TV experience.
It's something that I would have to say. Some people are wondering why the Apple TV still has your Apple Music and the podcasts in there. I think it's because that is typically your entertainment center. So while you're in there, you may just turn on music and, have the TV go to screensaver mode, whatever. But, I understand it, why it's in there.
It's interesting because the first thing I heard about the Apple Watch was about tactic time. I guess it's more, it'll alert you if you want. Now there will be a setting where you could have a buzz on your wrist every hour. Is this something you guys would find useful or not?
I'd find it obnoxious. Did you hear the sound of well, no, you didn't because you were working. It's like these random birds. Did they say it was a robin or?
Yeah, that's right. The robins, they captured. No, not captured. They recorded from Apple Park.
Yes, that's a bird song. It's actually a robin captured in Apple Park. It was recorded in Apple Park. The robins are okay.
Yeah. Oops, not captured.
That was kind of funny. That was pretty good.
I find that the tactic time, a lot of times when I do the one-finger double tap, it doesn't even work. And then it'll speak out instead of giving me the tactic time. Now, that's something I'd just like them to get to work.
I have to say, though, I'm glad that they're giving people different options to do it because I may not represent any category or anything, but I use mine my own way. If option was there, I would try it. If it was annoying, I'd shut it off. So options are good.
So, Jeff, menstrual cycle reminder. Oh, actually, this topic's for Serina. Because Jeff and I can't speak to this, is this going a little too far with technology, or is it something that could be useful?
Well, that's an awful personal question, Brian. But you might not know this because you are of the male persuasion. But women have been using these type of apps to track that for years.
Okay.
So Apple is like super behind the time with having it built in. I don't know if people will switch because once you have an app and the data's already there, it's kind of a pain in the butt to switch it to another app.
I'm switching right now.
Yeah. Well, you might have some things you need to share with us later, but...
Well, I usually use the moon cycles,
That's not the kind of cycles we're talking about.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So this is a little different than that lunar cycle tracking thing is what you're telling me.
A little bit. Just a
little
smidgen.
bit. Jeff, how about, are you going to make use of an app store on your wrist?
I don't know.
And that's all he has to say about that. What about yourself there, Serina? Are you excited about standalone apps for the Apple Watch as well as an app store right on your wrist?
I am a fan of the standalone apps because sometimes things just don't communicate well between the iPhone and the Apple Watch. Like, I used to have a lot of trouble with the Pandora app not really updating on the Apple Watch, but I would never browse an app store on my Apple Watch because I find it inconvenient to scroll through all that on such a little screen.
Yeah.
Now, I got to add to this.
You had your time
I used to
talk.
watch. I know. Please.
Okay, because you asked nicely.
This is a nice podcast. The Apple Watch to me is, I use it for certain things. And today when Brian was tweeting out 17,000 That Blind Tech Show tweets, that was nice during dinner. Anyways, I don't use too many apps on it. I mean, there's a pile of apps in there, but I really don't use too much because I have the Apple Watch 2. And I think it's grinding away, trying to keep up with what the possibilities could be. Like if I had the Watch 6.
Yeah.
Is that the software?
Watch 6.
Sorry, Serina.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the watchdog.
I'm the one that's supposed to get everything wrong on this show, Jeff. We each have our roles to play. So
Yeah, and she's pointing out everything.
yes.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I forgot to shut my phone off. Just a second. Hey.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm looking through the script here and everything is fine. The only problem is, who's Serina?
Good question. Gotta go.
Audiobooks and voice memos are coming to the Apple Watch. Now, voice memos I'll probably use. I don't have any Apple audiobooks, but my thoughts are, Serina, this might eventually open other apps being able to pass through audio on the Apple Watch. What are your thoughts?
You were in my mind, seriously. The first thing I thought of is, well, if Audible could do that, that would be awesome. To just have it play on your wrist while you're like doing housework or whatever, I would love that.
And if we ever get a Bard update this century, maybe Bard would be able to play on the Apple Watch. I don't think that's going to happen.
That app is so archaic. Like,
Yeah.
even searching for books on it is just ridiculous.
Bard Mobile. 3 days ago. This version, 1.2.2, fixes a bug related to audio decoding. Version 1.2 of Bard Mobile for iOS adds the following features. Addition of my previous downloads and most popular books to the top-level Get Books menu. Browse magazines by title. Braille reflow. Lines of Braille break to match your display length. Beat-free mode. Voice-over actions added to bookshelf items. Dynamic sleep timer. Matches the jump by level. Auto layout of screens. For compatibility with a wider variety of iOS devices. Adheres to system-wide type size setting. Dynamic type. Total reading time or number of Braille volumes added to summary listings. Automatically reloads next 50 items as you scroll. No more tapping, load more. Error message refinements. Double tap gesture to reset speed/tone. Ellipsis. Along with bug fixes. Stability improvements. iOS compatibility. And performance enhancements. The user guide has been updated to reflect all feature changes.
You know, all this talk about the watch, I got a question for you guys. You know, we don't drive and text or anything because it's illegal, of course. Plus, we're blind. The other thing is, can you drive and check your watch? That would be texting.
I think so.
But there's not much difference.
Isn't that still like reading text?
Yeah.
Well, you're on the wrong podcast to ask that show because nobody on this show can answer that question. I am excited for the live sports coming to the Apple Watch, so I don't know if that'll be the MLB at bat or Sirius XM, but it does seem like they're getting... Maybe they'll be opening this up. I don't think Apple's going to be streaming the live sports. So it seems like there are some exciting potential developments coming further down the road for the Apple Watch.
I just find it annoying to hold your arm up in a sling and hold your hand like that. It just seems I don't like it.
When was the last time you used the walkie-talkie, Jeff?
Probably the first and only time.
The time we had the fun, you and I. That was the last time I used the walkie-talkie. How about yourself, Serina? Have you made use of the horrible walkie-talkie?
I have never used it for fear of what happened to you when you didn't even realize you were transmitting to Jeff.
Yeah, he left the mic wide open for about 6 to 8 minutes until finally he checked his text and all that stuff that I was... Brian, I can hear everything you're saying.
Yeah, that we won't talk about. We call that
Then you hear him shut it off
gate.
with an expletive.
So that was bad. That was bad. But Siri searches are also coming to the watch, and I just hope it understands you correctly. But this sounds like you could do a search for topics, and maybe it'll just pull something up from the web, is what I'm assuming. So I guess it'll be using Google's search engine or something. What are your thoughts about Siri searches, Serina?
I feel so special. You keep coming to me.
Ladies first.
Thank you. I guess I've said this before on lots of other podcasts that we've had. I always thought, like, that Siri should have always been able to do that. I know when I first got my Apple Watch, I tried doing things with Siri and it would just never work right because it would never hear me correctly. So I just assumed that I was doing something wrong and that's why it wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing.
What'd you say?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I actually seem to think Siri gets things more correctly on the watch than it does on the phone for some reason. Like when you're sending a text, it actually seems to understand me better. Is that strange?
Or so you think, and we're just not telling you when you send garbage to us.
Could be true. Now, if you've ever been in an elevator, they don't have the number 13, but guess what does, Jeff? iOS 13.
Yes, they do. Brand new. All you developers, go out and get it right now. And Brian, you just became a developer.
I did. Not only would I have stayed awake during this WWDC, but there are so many exciting items coming to the iPhone, iPad, and the Mac that I decided to sign up for the developer account. And Jeff, you've already heard the new Siri voice, so what are your thoughts about her?
Sweet. Nothing but sweetness.
When we first started with Siri's voice, we used short clips of audio from actor recordings. But sometimes when we put them together, it didn't always sound as natural as we wanted it to be. So this year we have taken a huge step forward using cutting-edge machine learning called neural text-to-speech, where for the first time ever, the voice you hear is entirely generated by software. As a result, it has more natural cadence and better emphasis. It's most noticeable when Siri is speaking longer or more complex sentences. Let's have a listen together, starting with iOS 12.
Absolute zero is the lowest limit of the thermodynamic temperature scale, a state at which the enthalpy and entropy of a cooled ideal gas reach their minimum value, taken as zero.
All right, so that's okay. But now let's try iOS 13 with neural text-to-speech.
Absolute zero is the lowest limit of the thermodynamic temperature scale, a state at which the enthalpy and entropy of a cooled ideal gas reach their minimum value, taken as zero.
Way better. Way better.
So I have a story to share about this.
Uh-oh. One day at band camp, one day at blind camp.
Yesterday, while I was giving my 5-year-old son a bath, I was also texting Jeff and I asked him what he thought about iOS 13. And I never used Siri to read my text messages. And that was the time I decided to have it read aloud.
Oh my gosh.
And the content of it was not PG.
I did say it. I said, yes, it's orgasmic.
Oh! And did you hear your son say, Mommy, what's...
Luckily, he did not notice, but I was like, really? That's the time I decided to have it read aloud? I'm never texting with you guys again and having it read aloud. Both of you guys.
So just between, Brian and myself, you said, how should I...
Are you really going there
no,
right
I'm
now?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to go there. We'll cut that out.
Brian didn't even read it, so he probably doesn't even know what we're talking about.
I do. Jeff had to explain it to me.
What?
He said, you just proved that women aren't funny.
It wasn't that difficult.
What she was really saying was, between Brian and I combined, we don't have a set.
I like my jokes less cryptic.
It wasn't cryptic, it was obvious, and it was, you guys set it up for yourself.
Yeah, I got it right away. I had to walk Brian through it.
You're saying there was a lot of ball play going on that exchange.
Oh my goodness. My mom listens to this.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Hello, Mrs. Gilbert.
I'm married, so yeah, like.
Hi, Serena's mom.
It's not Mrs. Gilbert. Yeah, you gotta complicate things, Serina. We like it dumbed down on this show.
Apparently, you share one brain too.
Yes. I know, Serina, the biggest thing that you have to be excited for about iOS 13 is dark mode, which I still like to just call screen curtain for non-blind people.
I don't know why you guys are knocking dark mode so much.
Wait.
If you're low vision.
I did not say anything about it.
Okay, correction. I don't know why Brian is knocking dark mode so much.
I know, I'm with you on this, Serina.
You're forgetting about the low vision users. And on the screens on the newer iPhones, it can be a huge battery saver because it's not having all the light. Because the way the new screens work, if something's dark, then it's not even lighting up that part of the screen. So stop knocking it. You want your battery to last longer, right?
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah, we do represent the blind and the visually impaired.
If there's one thing that I've proven time and time again is that I'm very self-involved, and if it doesn't affect me, then I could care less about it.
Because he wanted to diss it.
I am.
Because he did have an Android last month.
Yes.
Do we even need to get into that?
No, we do on the unreleased That Blind Tech show.
On the Patreon. Sorry,
Yes.
I just had to. I'm sorry.
That was good, Serina. High five.
Every time I hear this statement come out of Apple or anything, I always think of the $6 Million Man. Bigger, stronger, faster, and everything. And it just cracks me up. Everything's always the best.
Oh, no. I don't know why they limit themselves, because they claimed that it's the best in the world. I know I'm going to go shopping on the moon or Mars next week. You know,
Jeff, that joke wasn't funny when you texted it to me yesterday either.
Still not funny?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
so people can say mine came from the moon.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
50-year anniversary.
Eagle, this is Houston. Do you copy?
We salute you. Apollo 11.
But what was funny is the way Tim Cook described dark mode. Like he was, I can't even say the words that you guys said. I will just say it was like he was like drooling over it though.
Yeah, drooling. No, he was. He was like, oh, dark mode.
Let's begin our descent into darkness. Look at that. The gorgeous dark wallpaper. Our notifications look great. Look just awesome. Check it out with a gorgeous dark appearance. So nice. Never looked so awesome on this really beautiful palette. Look at this refined texture. It's really fantastic. So you see how your images, your emoji, they all look just fantastic. And of course the keyboard, an extra refined new dark appearance and some new tricks, because now when you type, you can swipe. Just like that.
Huh, just like that, eh?
It's really great.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't get the excitement behind dark mode. So moving on. Obviously, Apple is committed to privacy, and more privacy. In fact, I found this statistic very fascinating, that Apple reviews 100,000 apps a week. And about 40% of them do not get approved because of privacy concerns. Has this ever happened to the Blind Abilities app, Jeff?
No, it's smooth sailing right on through. We're very private about our listeners' information. So download it now. You can get it on the App Store or on the Google Play Store. That's Blind Abilities. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities.
Boy, Serina, did he not sound like an ad salesman there at the end there?
Every time that he pitches either that app or where to download the podcast, his voice completely changes. Like, you know how when you answer the phone, you have a different voice when you answer the phone? That's like Jeff when he's talking about the Blind Abilities app.
And if you like the way I change my voice, just email us at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com.
Hi, Jeff. Yeah, it's me, Batman. I think I'll have to agree with Serina on this one. You have a phone voice. It's sort of weird and a little creepy. Yeah. And I know funny, creepy voices because, you know, I'm Batman.
Jeff, now you could share your location all the time or just one time with an app. You think you'll be making use of this? Because we need to know where you are at all times. Your mom wants me to make sure that you're okay.
I don't get why that is so important. It can't, like Serina says, wasn't this always working?
Yeah, I'll just probably do it all the time, Serina. How about yourself?
Well, it's funny because what Jeff's saying is that he has a beacon on you, Brian. So he's always been able to find you.
Well, I get lost a lot, so it's good for people to know where I am, you know.
I've never used the Find My Friends thing ever. I have shared my location with my mom or like my family when we're like driving cross country for safety reasons. And as far as apps, if I want to choose my location, it's probably that I want it to use it more than once. So I mean, you already can decide if it uses it while you're using it or not at all. So it's just a small tweak to it.
I have the Find My Friends app in the folder with all my apps that are useless to me, like the compass.
What are they calling it now? The new app, Find Me?
Yeah, just Find My.
Yeah, Find My.
It's not even a complete sentence. It's just Find My.
Actually, it's pretty cool because sometimes Lori and I intersect downtown. She's coming from St. Paul. I'm coming from this way. And I was in a meeting one time. All of a sudden, I got a notification, and she told me, "You're 1.5 miles away from me." And I'm like, "Oh wow, she knows where I am." I had forgotten that it was on between our phones. So yeah, you can actually track someone. It's Kind of cool. Wait, Brian, why don't you explain what you're trying to get out of us? Turn it on once or turn it on all the time?
My understanding of this new locations, for example, say you don't really want Facebook tracking you. Instead of having it know where you are and just allow location tracking, you could just say allow it this time while I'm in the app and everything. So I think that's kind of pretty cool.
I always thought that you could always choose for most of the apps that while I'm using the app.
I think it's just a one-time thing.
I mean, I guess I could see it coming in handy if you were doing maybe
waiting for an Uber.
I don't even know. Because if I'm using the app that I need the location in there, I don't want to have to keep telling it every time to use my location. I don't know.
I'll probably just leave it always because wherever I go, there I will be. And that's very deep philosophical thought for you.
Thanks for the warning.
You're welcome. But we've got redesigns coming to the Photos app as well as the Reminders app. And I'm really excited about the Reminders app redesign because I've always make use of the Reminders app quite frequently. In fact, it reminds me I was supposed to book the Laugh for Sight date today, which I forgot to do. So obviously I'm not making good use always of the Reminders app. But I'm looking forward to being able to do more with Reminders. How about yourself, Serina?
Well, the way that I always set a reminder for myself is I always use Siri. I never go in and actually type anything in. And the way that they demoed it in WWDC was essentially just typing in what I would have just said to Siri. I do like that there'll be different ways to organize it into different task lists and things like that in a much more streamlined manner. But as far as how I use it, I'm probably not going to go in and type something in when I can just make Siri do it for me.
Yeah, I always use Siri to book my reminders as well, Jeff, as schedule my meetings. How about yourself?
I use schedule appointments and meetings. I use the calendar for most everything. Reminders just fall to the wayside.
And unlike Serina and Jeff think, this show is not always just about me because I made a note here. Font sizes are coming to Safari, and I thought this would be extremely beneficial and helpful to our low vision users and listeners. Serina.
Yeah, I think that's great. Combine the larger font sizes and dark mode, and it could really be a good setup for some of our listeners.
I have not tested this recently because I completely stopped using Apple Maps ever since they broke turn-by-turn directions where you're looking at one and it kept defaulting back. Have either of you used Apple Maps recently? I've been using Google Maps primarily.
I used it yesterday, Brian.
And were you able to easily look through your turn-by-turn directions to where you were going?
I was passenger in a vehicle, and what I really like is it gives me the haptic feels when I'm approaching a turn. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a reminder that there's a turn coming. Not that I'm a backseat driver or anything, but it worked really good, and it got me to the destination. Because I used Siri, I said, take me to 825 Glenwood Avenue, and it took me there.
Ah. That's great. Now, Serina, I noticed with the new Maps update, instead of it telling you turn right in 300 feet, it's going to say turn right at the next stoplight. I don't know if this is just in driving mode or walking mode. What are your thoughts about this? Because I think actually in walking mode, 300 feet might be more useful to at least blind people.
I actually kind of like the maybe turn left at the next light or next intersection or whatever, because sometimes some people don't have as good time and distance skills as others. Because 300 feet to me, I'm like, I have no clue how far that is.
That's 150 people.
And
what?
Serina, we're talking about directions here, Serina, and I said turn right, so you're turning left, so you've already gotten lost.
See?
Yeah. Are you guys? Some blind people are fantastic with navigation. I get turned around. In fact, every time I get off the subway, and I was on the subway today for the first time in a year and a half because my guide dog Nash had really slowed down with steps. But how about yourself, Serena? How are you with navigating, or do you get lost like I do in my own apartment?
I'm pretty good at navigating, but I have a lot of usable vision. But if I was in the dark, then that's where it'd be a problem. That sounded horrible. What I meant was if it was nighttime, because I'm completely blind at night.
Oh.
But during the day, I'm okay usually.
How about yourself there, Jeff? Something tells me you're an excellent navigator.
Well, I spent the summers on the farm, and we always had the no northeast, southwest, everything of that nature. And because I had to learn that, that's how I was talked to. It was, you go north, boom, boom, boom. You had to figure things out. The north field, everything was directional, cardinal directions. And so it stuck with me. So I like directions.
Yeah, I figured you were one of those people that navigates by the North Star and everything. So HomeKit support. This I thought was kind of cool because it's coming to Spectrum routers and a name that I could never say. So I wrote others in the notes. But is it Linsky's or Linskys or I have no idea how you pronounce that company's name. Jeff, how do you pronounce that company's name?
What are you talking about? Linksys?
Linksys, exactly.
You don't know how to say Linksys?
Linksys.
You were so far off, I didn't even know what you were trying to say.
Authenticate. Try that one.
Jeff couldn't say authenticate earlier today. So, yeah, Linksys. Links. How do you say it again?
Links.
Linksys. Well, I have a Spectrum router, so I will never have to say that word again. This should be pretty cool, Jeff.
I don't know where the privacy starts and stops. So once it's in your router, is that really a lot safer than going to the devices? I don't know. At that point, wouldn't they just concentrate there instead of make it easier? I don't know.
We'll see in a few months. But whenever Serina calls me, I just push send to voicemail. And Serina, you can now do this with spam calls. I bet that's exciting for you.
Oh, don't worry, Brian. You're already on my blocked list. But I get so many spam calls, and I'm hopeful that it doesn't just block the calls, but the stupid text messages too, that keep telling me I've won an Amazon gift card when obviously I have not.
Oh.
I know. Makes me
Jeff,
sad.
does this mean we're going to have to stop signing Serina up for all those annoying services that we've been doing over the last few years?
We have to stop that?
Well, she's just going to send them to voicemail. What's the point?
What are we going to do on Saturdays now? Jeez.
Rearrange our apps on our home screens like normal people do on a Saturday.
The thing is, I have Verizon right now. So they started this new thing for spam, and I signed up for it and stuff. So there's an app that they downloaded into my system on my phone. So I get these calls that it says, whoop, 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 spam alert, spam, something like that. And I wonder how Apple's going to work with this too, if it simultaneously goes off double spam alerts.
Well, I don't think it's ever even going to make it. Your phone will just never even ring, is the way that I kind of read it. Is it's going to block it before it even makes an alert on your phone.
I thought you were talking about my one friend calling me.
Something that I thought was really cool, and I had to do a deep dive. This wasn't something that was really talked about. Coming to the control center, you could now, choose a Wi-Fi network right from the control center where you, I assume, will do a one-finger double tap on Wi-Fi. And instead of just turning it on and off, it's going to have the available Wi-Fi networks. And if you've already connected to that network with your password, you can easily join Wi-Fi networks. But even cooler than that is the same thing's going to be for Bluetooth. So instead of having to open the Bluetooth settings, you'll be able to do this right from Control Center and connect to Bluetooth devices that you've previously connected to. These seem like pretty cool features here, Jeff.
I don't know. I just don't get it. How many Wi-Fis do I want to put myself under? I mean, I just have mine. Are you talking about like multiple Wi-Fis? Are you that friendly around your neighborhood or what?
I have plenty of Wi-Fis to connect to. Yes, I'm a very popular guy. Not on this show, but I'm a very popular guy in the real world. But more importantly, the Bluetooth. I've got like 25 Bluetooth devices on my phone. So to easily be able to connect to them, I thought this was a really cool feature. Obviously, Jeff didn't, Serina. What about yourself? Do you find it impressive?
I kind of agree with Jeff. I don't have that many Bluetooth devices either. But one thing I did see related to that, and I don't know what it means, is it said that Bluetooth splitting, like wireless splitting. I have no clue what that is. But if it's what I think it is, it'd be really nice. Like maybe voiceover come out of my phone and my music come out of my Bluetooth device without it being on AirPlay too. Or, they didn't exactly say what that was. I just saw it mentioned.
And we could go on talking about iOS for hours as Apple did. But so a couple of other things, smart charging, low data mode, automatically close Safari tabs, whether it's after one day, you could set this up 1 week, 1 month, once a year. These seem like some pretty nifty features. Was there anything else on iOS 13 that interests you, Serina?
I'm probably getting ahead. It's just the voice control, but that's on both Mac and iOS. So
we will be getting to that. Yes, we will.
Yeah, I figured.
How about yourself, Jeff? You seem like a multiple tab guy. Any of these things excite you?
I mean, I don't know. You complain if you got to get off the couch. I don't really mind if I got to tap on the tab and be done, and there they all go,
And one last thing that I didn't get to read a lot about. Did you guys read anything into this new swipe keyboard that's coming to Apple? And any idea what that might entail?
That has been bothering me ever since they announced it, because the keyboard is just so hard to use as somebody who uses VoiceOver. Even with direct touch typing, it's still a little tricky. And that's the one thing where I'm like, how is that going to integrate with VoiceOver? Because I just don't understand it.
Is that where, like, if you have a keyboard and also when you go to your emoji, you can just slide it over? There's your emojis, hit your emoji, slide it back, and just keep seamlessly going?
No, they're saying, like, if you needed to type hello, you would literally just slide your finger around all the keys. So is what I'm thinking, is what the way I've seen it on YouTube videos, instead of having to pick up and tap, which I guess Android phones have had this feature for years.
Look out, Flick Type.
It depends on how they integrate it, because I just don't know how it would work with voiceover.
Well, we will have to record another show eventually to figure out how this works with voiceovers. So December, I'm wide open as of now. Yeah. So, maybe December. No, we will be coming at you with more shows more frequently. So that's something to look forward to. Just like this was something I was thrilled to hear, iPad OS. I hope I sounded as excited as Tim Cook did when he said dark mode. So what are your thoughts, Serina, about iPad getting its own operating system and getting more in line with how a laptop may work?
I was just thinking the exact same thing, because with the new OS that they announced for it and the new iPad that they announced too, like you can hook up a mouse to it, you can hook up a USB port, like it's gonna be its own standalone device, not before long.
Yeah, and I did find it funny that I did read that setting up the mouse is under accessibility, which is like, wow, a lot of blind people. I haven't used a mouse in years. In fact, one time I had a friend come over just once. I've only had one friend, and he said, "Can I use your computer?" And I said, "Sure." He says, "Where's your mouse?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. It's like in a drawer somewhere and everything." But Jeff, I guess you really didn't need the 256 gigs on your iPad, because you'll now be able to connect memory cards and other peripherals to your iPad.
Actually, what's been going on since that announcement, my two iPhones are sitting over here kind of dejected and feel lonely and stuff, because it used to be the iPhone and the iPad, they were kind of like a big iPhone, you know what I mean? But now that the iPad is taken off towards the Mac and that relationship is going, these two are kind of dejected a little bit. I really like it because they always talked about the iPad becoming a computer. So I knew the iPad when it was just a mini.
And the question that I have, which is going to be interesting to see from an accessibility standpoint, is with the iPad becoming more like a computer, I wonder if that means if you're using a keyboard with your iPad, if you'll be able to use full Mac voiceover gestures. Jeff, any thoughts about that?
It's going to be interesting. I saw them using some gestures that are brand new, like the 2-finger pinch and the 2-finger expand, your index, middle finger, and your thumb for cut and delete, all the pasting stuff that they were doing. You might be able to just flick it towards your Mac and there it is, the sharing and stuff. I don't know. It seems like the handoff is going to be working pretty smoothly.
Yeah. And widgets are coming potentially to your home screen. Serina, have you ever used a widget on an iPad? I never used Screen 1.
No, on my iPhone I have when I'm checking the weather super quick, but other than that, no.
I always forget that Screen 1's even there. Do you ever make use of Page 1? Jeff, do you ever make use of Page 1 and those widgets?
Yeah, I put the battery widget in there, and that's kind of neat because you can check all your Bluetooth connections. You have 25, Brian, you might make use of that one.
Well, Serina wouldn't need that. She doesn't have a lot of Bluetooth items.
This is not about Serina, Brian. I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay.
And all our listeners out there. I have a couple stocks that I follow. I have the weather, as Serina mentioned. I have the battery there. And then I have some news clippings there. So when I'm in there, I usually get distracted for about 3 minutes and then I'm back out.
Yeah, I don't know how new this is because I really don't make use of it. The multitask view where you could pin two apps next to each other. Do you ever use that view, Serina? Or do you just find it easy enough to do a 4-finger flick and get to the app you just used?
I don't really use an iPad, honestly. My son has one, and we do the basics on it so you can watch TV. And frankly, his iPad kind of confuses me because things just end up in weird places. So I've never used it.
And I think you told us the last time we did WWDC, that same exact thing. And if I would have been listening, I would have known that. So, Jeff, how about yourself? Do you use that multitask view where you could pin the apps right next to each other? Or do you do it like me and just do a 4-finger swipe to get back to the app you just used?
I don't ever use multi-view.
I wasn't too excited about that, but some users may be. And I noticed not all apps can do that multitask view and pinning, and it's just so much quicker to do that 4-finger swipe to get to the previous app. We had the big blow up on the last show when what's pissing off Brian, and it was Dropbox and their new plans. And I believe it was Jeff and Allison hammering me from both sides, Serina, saying, well, you can't share folders from iCloud. So now, as of iPad OS 1, you will be able to share folders from files in a new redesigned file. This is pretty cool, but I guess, Serina, you don't really make use of the iPad. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, we may have misspoke because I can share files from my files folder today.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew you could do that.
After all that beating up
Brian,
you guys did last time.
How long have you been able to share folders in iCloud, Jeff?
my understanding is that you'll be able to access iCloud Drive from your files folder. Is that the new thing? Probably so.
Well, could you share the entire folder or just a file at a time?
I just saw that the share sheet popped up and I said, oh, the option's there.
But were you on the top level folder though, or were you in the folder?
Wow, really? Could you lower that light? We're in dark mode. Come on, man. Now, you have to remember, I'm talking about the files folder. This is a folder that Apple has created with all your files. They don't have folders in the files folder. They have files. As you know, you can't access iCloud from your iPhone just as a folder. You can go to the web and access it, but not as a folder.
Anyway, if you've shared a file or folder from iCloud, tweet us in at Blind Tech Show. Let us know how it went and let us know what personal data you shared as well. So with this new files redesign, this was something pretty cool. Safari will now show, and I never really realized that when you're looking at a web page in Safari, it's actually a mobile version of that web page. But now on the iPad, it's going to default to the desktop computer view of that website. And you're also going to be getting a download manager on the iPad, which you'll be able to download things directly from websites to your iPad. That's pretty cool, Jeff.
I really like having the iPad having that capability because it reminds me of the day when they took away DVDs or the CD-ROM drives out of the computers. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I got JAWS. How am I going to get JAWS onto my computer? And, slowly things just kept changing. And, this is a big step for iPad and a giant leap for all iPads in becoming a computer. And once again, big shout out to the 50th anniversary to Apollo 11.
Yeah, like I said, it's just everything's become, with the iPad, it's becoming more like a computer, and we're getting new gestures, a ton of them, new gestures for copy, paste, cursor control, which I guess won't be important to us, but slew of new gestures coming to the iPad.
Well, this may not be important to you, but for low vision people or for the sighted people out there, now you can take your iPad and mirror it to your computer monitor. So you could be sitting back and using it. Say you're doing a pencil sketch or something like that. And we wouldn't be doing that too often unless you want to. But you could be working on your Mac from your iPad. That's pretty cool.
And it can be a second monitor to your Mac as well.
Yeah.
Which I think is super innovative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always wonder why you couldn't do that, but now, coming soon, folks. Stay tuned.
And as Jeff said to me earlier today, with all these great new innovations, it's making me feel even blinder, which I thought was a great line. I lived in Los Angeles for 5 years, and I never made it to Catalina, but the Mac has finally made it to OS Catalina, which is pretty cool. And we have to start this off with the biggest announcement. It was nice to see accessibility actually talked about during the keynote that I didn't watch. Voice control. Serina, how excited are you for voice control?
I am super excited about it for now until, the novelty wears off. I don't even use my MacBook anymore, I'm going to be honest, but it's also coming to iOS. So that's pretty cool. Like, you do so many things hands-free.
Yeah, and I just hope this isn't one of those things like I get really excited for. Then it's like, well, I could do it 10 times faster with a keyboard command. But Jeff, you've already played around a little with voice control. What are your thoughts?
I know when I play around, Brian, you got excited because I was just doing voice commands and I was opening pages. I was closing Safari and it was really cool. You go into your settings and you turn it on. It's under dictation. I turned it on. I activated it. We didn't know much how to use it yet, but I tried a few commands, and after a while, it was like getting pretty quick. Brian said he could do it faster with a shortcut command, but then we realized you don't have to say any keywords. You just basically start talking like open Safari, and boom, Safari opens.
So it's always listening.
Yeah, and it was really funny, Serena, because he kept saying voice control, open pages, voice control, open Safari. And then I'm like, hey, try doing it without saying voice control to see if it works. And sure enough, it did.
I'm glad I get to edit this because you make me sound like an idiot.
It was really funny.
It was the first time I turned the thing on. I turned it on, and so I tried voice control. It wasn't working. It was making these swoosh noises. And
you were probably sending all kinds of emails to people.
And it was really funny. You got to leave that in there. It was voice control, do this, and voice control, do that. But hey, it's like I said, it was the first time you were doing it. But one thing I did notice when he was setting it up, because I was listening in, there was an add button where you'll be able to add custom voice control commands. So I'll be able to say, voice control, hang up on Jeff Thompson, and then we'd stop podcasting. So
why do you keep beating up on Jeff? He's already in the corner crying. Jeez.
If I didn't beat up on him, it'd be you.
It all comes out in the editing.
It'll be so different when he releases it.
Yeah.
Where's Marlon when I need him, right?
Who's Marlon?
Yeah, I don't know how much I'll really use.
Wait, back up. Did you say who's Marlon?
Is that a wizard? What?
You haven't listened to That Blind Tech Show lately?
I listened to the last one because I pulled a very funny clip from it.
Hey Serina, my name is Marlon. I am from Trinidad. That's an island in the Caribbean. I do a lot of crazy voiceover stuff for Jeff and Brian. And let me see. I look like Denzel Washington. I have rock hard abs, which is covered by a very thin layer of fat. It's well hidden. I'm between 38 and 38 and a half, and I enjoy long walks on the beach with that special Bluetooth headset. Yes. And I'm not completely insane. And on behalf of... Wait, hold on. Cue sad violin music. No, not that. No. Ah, yes. On behalf of the male human species, I apologize that you have to spend all this time with Brian. I'm so sorry.
He's the humorous voice guy that does the humorous clips.
I never knew who did those voices. I just figured Jeff did them and worked his magic. Or had one of his kids do them.
And Marlon, stop blasting TiVo on Twitter. Getting back to voice control, the one thing that, and I'm hoping this is the way that it will work, when I go to dictate a text message and Siri absolutely butchers what I say, you have to go in, one finger double tap and do a select all, in the edit menu, and then hit the delete button, and half the time the keyboard's not up or something. Supposedly with voice control, you might dictate something, and then if it butchers it, be able to say delete all, and it might just delete everything. That would be really cool.
That is how it's supposed to work. But random technology quick tip. Did you know that if you were to dictate something and it totally butchered it, you can just shake your phone to delete it?
Yeah, but I get confused between my phone and a soda can, and, when I shake the soda can, bad things happen, and then I open it. It's just, come on. I did know that, but I forget about it because I'm normally cursing at how bad it butchered instead of thinking, all I have to do is shake the phone, so, yeah.
I hate shaking the phone. I think it's one of the lowest caveman type of things to do for results. I won't do it.
But it's so intuitive,
It's like an Etch-a-Sketch.
That
well,
is.
it's a redo,
Yeah, it's a redo. It's pretty cool.
Things I learned in kindergarten.
Why are you so pouty over there? Did you not get your Cheerios this morning?
I miss Allison sometimes.
She would have said the same thing to you.
That's true. I just wonder if that 3-finger swipe, some of those gestures that they're using, is going to work for us when voiceover's turned on, because 3-finger swipe is something different.
Yeah. Oh, they'll come up with something.
They've always been really good about making sure that things are integrated for accessibility.
I am really looking forward to those first 6-finger gestures. But speaking of gestures, I don't know if this will be useful for us, but people that do have dexterity or arthritis issues, with voice control, you'll supposedly be able to tell voice control to perform a gesture. So that's something that's pretty cool for people out there.
Yes.
Jeff, iPad apps are beginning to come to your Mac. I think it's pretty cool, and this could be great for certain things that aren't 100% accessible, but their apps are 100% accessible, whereas, say, their website's not fantastic. What are your thoughts about that, Jeff?
Well, geez, Jeff, tell them how you really feel.
I think this is great. When Apple announced that some developers tested it and they said within a day or a couple of days they had it up and running, I was really excited to see that Twitter will be coming back to the Mac. So this is really cool. And I hope that the user interface is similar. They don't have touchscreen on the Mac, so it'll be interesting how it's going to work.
Supposedly there is some work involved. An app that I would love to use on my computer would be the Facebook app, because I haven't been on the Facebook website in years. I'm sure their accessibility's gotten better, but the Facebook app just works perfect with VoiceOver. What are your thoughts about that, Serina?
That was one that came to mind. And also, I really like playing word games and things like that. And it'd be nice to have some of the word games that work really well on iOS that don't even exist on the Mac App Store.
Nah.
Yeah, well, does the Mac App Store really exist? Come on.
No.
Apparently not anymore.
No. And then I'm not a big fan of the Mac App Store, so especially the design of it. The new design under Mojave, I think, was a step backwards as far as designs go. So hopefully the new apps that are getting redesigns, they are step forward and everything. And I don't know if Jeff needs to play some somber music now, but as they said in The Godfather, iTunes now sleeps with the fishes, Serena. We're getting Apple TV app on the computer, which, don't get too excited. Supposedly you won't be able to play Netflix through it or Hulu. Not that anybody has Hulu, and also a lot of your cable network apps will not work in that. We're also getting a podcast app for the Mac, as well as everything will be standalone. And there was some panic out there by Windows users thinking, oh, what are they going to do on Windows? And it's already been announced that iTunes is staying on Windows. So what are your thoughts about standalone apps coming for iTunes?
I feel like it was an obvious thing that was going to happen because we've had standalone apps on our iPhones forever. I think people are kind of conditioned already. And I think it's important to clarify because everyone was like, oh my gosh, iTunes is dying. What about my content that I purchased? Yes, the iTunes program is no longer going to be on the Macs, but you're still going to have access to all of your music, movies, all that stuff, because the store is not going away. They would be crazy to take away their iTunes store. They make billions on that every year.
And early reports are everything switches seamlessly from your iTunes account into these individual apps. And Jeff, I'd love to see the Podcasts app evolve because I'd love to start using it more, but unless they're giving me where I could group podcasts into a group, I don't see me using it and switching from Downcast.
Well, Brian, not everybody subscribes to 100 podcasts, so that might not
106.
That might not be a problem for everybody, but it seems pretty much exactly like the podcast app on the phone, where if you want to get your most recent, boom, there they are. If you want to search for other ones, you can do it. The thing that I'm experimenting right now, I want to see if there's shortcuts or if there's some way to better navigate, because it seems like when you go back into something, you have to wrap around with the swipe until you get to the grid again. So I hope there's some shortcuts that I haven't found yet. It's just 24 hours, folks. So going to experiment with it on the Mac. Plus the fact that I did this research and discovery on my own without Brian listening in, so I would not be critiqued on my every move.
Let's turn our attention to podcast. It brings a dedicated podcast listening experience to the Mac. And it features all the great features you're used to in iOS, like Listen Now, where you can see new episodes and keep track of your listening across all of your devices. And it has a great new feature, and it has to do with search. Sometimes you hear about something on the radio maybe, or a new podcast, something on the news, and you think, oh, I want to hear more about that, but you're not sure what show it was on, or even that it appeared in the title. Well, now we use machine learning to index the contents of the spoken content of podcasts. So now you can search that content and find the podcast with just a few clicks in the app. It's great.
Yeah, and syncing, not that anybody still syncs their phone to their computer, but obviously with no iTunes, this is now going to be done in your Finder on the Mac. And I'm hoping, and I don't know if you've had a chance to check this out, Jeff, that we'll once again be able to roll back apps that break accessibility. That's really pissed me off that you can no longer do that, and you had to do that over the computer. So have you checked this out in the Finder yet, Jeff?
No, I really haven't, because I don't connect my iOS to I can't remember the last time I actually did that. Connect the cord right up to the USB to the computer to do that. Used to do it a while back when we had to do that type of thing, especially if you wanted like ringtones or something of that nature. But things have changed so much that I don't go umbilical with it anymore. However, since they changed the way you update betas now for iOS 13 Beta 1, you have to hook up to your computer. I have the latest Catalina installed, so I was able to hook it up to it and put on iOS 13, and that's how they did it. And you go to the Finder and then go to Locations, then go find your iPhone there, as opposed to doing it in iTunes.
So Jeff does not follow Apple's recommendations to back your phone up to iTunes before upgrading to a beta software.
No, I back mine up to the iCloud.
It's so specific. If you read like the directions, it's always like hook it up to a computer to back it up.
That's good advice. And supposedly the tab key is also going to have new behavior on the Mac, and I always forget about the tab key on the Mac. And I don't know. Do you use your tab key when using your Mac to tab through elements, Serina?
The Mac in general, like the tab key has never acted predictably to me. Like, as I hit it and I think it's going to go to a certain spot and it doesn't, and it's just been frustrating in the past for me.
That's why I don't make use of it either. So, and unfortunately, Allison's not here, but we did have to cover the HomePod, and she's the only one of us that has the HomePod.
Excuse me.
Oh, pardon.
Let's just back up a little bit. First of all, you said you were going to use all your Allisons in the beginning.
That was number 7.
That was number 7. I hit my limit. I believe it was 7 limits, and I did 6 before we started recording.
Second of all, I have a HomePod.
Yes. She's the other one.
Stop it.
Exactly. By the way, there was a great article about the HomePod, and now they are no longer statistically. It's hit the other category under sales, man. So it'll be the Google Home. It has 30% of the market, or
it is one of the best engineered speakers for the price. It is. They took something that people used to pay $30,000 to do technology-wise to do what it does, and packaged it in for $350. I wish I had one.
Well, and it's funny that you thought Allison was the only one that has them, because she does have a set of them, but she does not use them anymore.
No, she packaged them up. Mothballs.
I can't keep track of her products and everything. So, Serina, but what are your thoughts then? It's great that we have Serina here to speak about the HomePod.
Yeah. Thanks for remembering.
The coolest feature sounds handoff. It sounds great. You could be listening to a podcast or music on your HomePod and then just switch to your phone and it'll pick up right where you left off with that song or podcast and everything. So it sounds like a pretty useful feature.
Yeah, that one sounds pretty useful. But what I'm most excited about, which I'm pretty sure the A lady and the Google lady have had this for years, is being able to have multiple users on it, where when my kid plays Kids Bop, it's not muddling up my recommendations on my Apple Music.
I just assumed you already had iHeartRadio and TuneIn, but I guess those are new things that are coming to the HomePod.
No, they were not natively in there. You could do it with a shortcut when Shortcuts was introduced, I think in the fall or whatever. But the only built-in things on there are the Apple-specific products. Like Pandora's not built in. None of the radio ones are. It's kind of like podcasts and Apple Music and maybe audiobooks. I'm not positive on that, though.
And Jeff, we have breaking news because Serina just told us there actually is a useful shortcut out there.
It's funny. Not that this is handy for our community right now, but I saw on the news that there's a new shortcut that you can tell when you're getting pulled over by the cops. You can tell your phone, I'm being pulled over, and it'll lower your music and start recording.
And it also puts the weed out.
That's important for Colorado.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not my fault you guys dip into the weed.
We are not the only state.
It's interesting. That's a whole nother podcast.
So, Jeff, may there be a HomePod in your future?
I would like to experience 2 of them. Listen to the sound. I'm really into audio. I like sound, and I like the way they use the near field microphones and everything to adjust the sound to you. Have you noticed that, Serina, when yours is playing? It sounds good wherever you are. It's
amazing. And it's not very, it's the size of a large pickle jar, like, the Costco size pickle jar. If I put it on like even 80 or 90%, it can fill my whole house. And I have a 2-story home. I just love the HomePod. I do have a Google Home. I also have the A lady, and none of them come close.
So what I would really like to see him do, I know there's handoff stuff. I would like to have it like if I'm home alone and not the movie. If I'm home alone and doing like laundry and going, when you're moving about the house, doing chores and stuff like that, I like to turn on the music. What would be nice if I walked into a room that the speakers would fade away from the other room and bring it to the other room if you had so many speakers, like downstairs or something, if you moved them around.
That would be awesome.
It would be kind of cool.
That would be super cool.
Be seamless, as opposed to the handoff, which is like near field communications in a sense, like swiping a card. You take your phone, you go next to the home pod, and you can hand off what's on your phone onto the home pod, or vice versa. You can take what's on the home pod and take it with you on your phone as you're moving about. I don't want to have to swipe all the time. I just want it to happen.
And for those listeners counting out there, that's Jeff Thompson movie reference 1, Brian Fischler 0. So, yes, I'd just like to note that I've had 0 movie references. I always think of the $6 Million Man. Bigger, stronger, faster. Yeah. AirPods. This sounded pretty cool. If you have them in, which I have not had mine in since I got the Bose frames, so you'll be able to, it'll read your messages out loud, which it already does with VoiceOver, but you'll be able to respond in real time after it's read to you. This sounds like a cool feature, Serina.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful. And, even with VoiceOver, in order, I don't have mine set to automatically read aloud because I've had very awkward situations in the past.
Oh, expand, please.
No. Well, my job. I meet with clients. The last thing you want is your phone going off reading random messages, especially from Jeff Thompson.
One time.
That was not one. I can dig up a history.
Roll.
But I do think that's helpful because if you're not, let's say you have your AirPods on and you're kind of, your phone's all the way across the room and it comes through and you could just reply right there without having to touch your phone. I think that's great.
Unfortunately for me, I spent hundreds of dollars investing in shirts that all have a top pocket, so my iPhone's there. So I guess now with this feature, I don't need to wear a shirt pocket.
You don't need to wear a shirt pocket?
I don't need to wear a shirt pocket. I don't need to wear a shirt pocket.
Still can't
I don't need to wear a shirt pocket. Yeah.
You ever see a slow train wreck?
No, I'm blind.
It's just like it's gonna happen.
Don't help him. Don't help him, Jeff. Just watch. Just sit back. Just wait for it.
Just wait for it.
I got the popcorn.
Hey, this magic doesn't happen overnight. So I don't have to wear shirts with pockets on the top anymore.
Ding, ding, ding.
It only took 12 minutes to get there.
I thought you were going to say I don't have to wear a shirt anymore. So
No, we don't want to blind more people, They're like, oh, turn the sun down. No, it's just Brian without his shirt.
Dark mode.
See,
there
Brian,
would be a use for dark mode.
Use.
Yes. So, Jeff, you have a friend, right? Do you think you'll ever share your audio with them in your AirPods?
You know what? I don't like that, all the sharing stuff that they talk about.
Sharing is caring.
That's true. And this is a nice podcast. And maybe on the bus, kids and doing stuff. I don't know. Maybe one thing I would like to say about the AirPods, and I did try this the other day, is find my AirPods. So I took them out and I set them down. And then I just asked Siri to find my AirPods. And it warns you, are you sure they are not in someone's ear? Okay. And then you confirm that. And all of a sudden they start beeping and you can find them. Cool.
And Serina, the first time I heard that story, he told me the A lady could find his AirPods. And I thought that was really cool. And then he realized that he meant Siri.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I was like, really? The A lady could find your AirPods? That's
because
awesome.
We all know that Apple and Amazon play so nice together.
Yeah, jeez.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even screw up on the podcast and bring up something out of the podcast and bring it into the podcast. I did not know that you had a handoff too, that you take a conversation I have with you out of the podcast and you hand it off to everybody else, let alone, jeez. We should have a What's Pissing Off Jeff segment right now. How was last night, Brian?
Oh my goodness.
We don't talk about last night on the podcast.
I'm going to get out my popcorn now.
So.
Really? Luckily, I recorded our conversation last night.
That'll make the never released blooper reel of That Blind Tech Show.
Yeah.
But
again, another feature for Patreon.
Exactly. Yeah, we got a very nice message on. Yeah. We did get a very nice message on Facebook to keep up the humor. So it's 1-to-1. We have one person that likes the humor and one person that wants us to get rid of the humor.
So Brian, did you use your fake account for that?
Yes, I'm a 75-year-old woman that lives in East Istanbul.
Well, it would be easy for us to not figure out that it was still you.
Serina, come on. This is 2019. There's nothing fake on Facebook.
Everything is true.
Everything you read on Facebook is real.
That's right. So. Totally true.
And if you really want to find out the truth, we'll play the episode of Brian talking last night.
Yes. So, also, we do have a Facebook group.
Subject.
You can look up in the search thing. You can look up in the search area
Could you be a little more general?
So join us on Facebook because everybody's leaving except us, and just search for That Blind Tech Show, the group, not the person, and join us on Facebook or beware. So Apple did announce some new products that were fairly cheap, Serina. Why don't you tell the listeners about the great new product line that Apple's releasing for the people earning minimum wage out there?
Yeah, I mean, the other day I was walking behind Tim Cook and he dropped some money, so now I can afford his $12,000 gadgets.
The Mac Pro? Are you referring to the Mac Pro?
That'll only set you back about $5,000.
They're like, the HomePods are selling great. Let's release something even more expensive for that one person out there.
They did do one thing, though. They played Logic on there. And Logic is where you can compose music, like put the flutes here, put the drums. You can spread it all out and do a whole orchestra. And when I'm using like Amadeus Pro or something like that, once I get up to about 4 or 5 of these files that are long, like when I'm doing editing, it gets to the point where, okay, you're going to put a little strain on the computer. And you can tell things move just a little bit slower. They put 1,000 lines of instruments. They kept going. And to me, anybody that's done editing would be like, whoa.
I don't even think I could name 1,000 musicians.
I think you could if given the time.
No, I there's Bon Jovi, Springsteen, and Sinatra. Is there anybody else I'm forgetting?
Thousands.
Yeah. I'll call you in 2032.
So, Serina, what were your overall thoughts about WWDC 19?
So I do like the new software that's coming out. As far as the new gizmos and gadgets, now we know why they have a Apple credit card, because you'll need it to afford any of those things.
Coming this summer.
How convenient that it's coming right before all these things are going to be released, right?
Did they announce a date for the Apple card, or just coming this summer?
I thought they said it was in June, so you would think it'd be any day now, actually.
Coming this summer.
I plan to get one.
Unless it's going to be like Jeff's favorite accessory that never came out.
Air power.
Air power.
Jeff, do you have the AirPods that you could charge through air power?
Yeah, in a nebulous dream.
Just kick him while he's down. Jeez.
So, Jeff, what were your overall thoughts about WWDC 19?
I really like you mentioned, Brian, I'll give you a little shout out there, that you brought up the accessibility that is available, especially when you're talking about voice control and some of the fonts getting larger. That's a rub. Dark mode. I do like those features because a lot of low vision people, some of us have gone through low vision or have that where you don't want the bright screen on you. So it's a great option to have. I have dark mode on my Mac going right now. So I really liked it because it's not a bright something, a glare. I get glares because I can see some peripheral. So voice control is going to be interesting. I want to play with that more. It seemed like it got faster as we were testing it out, Brian. It seems like once we kind of knew what the controls were and that there were no anything you had to say to get it going, it's just listening all the time, which is concerning.
No, Apple has an excellent privacy record.
Yeah, they really do stress that because they're not about collecting data like Google is. Not to call Google out on it, but...
Well, they basically called Google and Facebook out. Like, it was clear what they were indicating when they were talking about the sign-in with Apple stuff.
Oh, yeah, and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I didn't think it was that cool, but then once Jeff explained it to me real slow, Serina, sign in with Apple, because who do you trust more, Apple or Facebook?
Hey, Portal.
Oh, I thought that was rhetorical because it's so obvious.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Facebook all my data. Let me get that speaker that records my house the whole time.
Hey, Portal.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting, though, because they were like, we'll give them a fake email address.
I like that. I really like that because if you want to unsubscribe from it, you just unsubscribe right from that email address. Boom, you're done.
I guess I'm a little confused with how they're going to implement it because you don't have access to that fake email address because it's just forwarding to you.
Imagine this. You have like 10,000 little Apple soldiers, okay? And they're out there in the internet protecting you because...
And only
you. Yeah. And they'll die for you. You know what I mean? That's what it's all there for.
Somebody is very excited.
I plan to spend the rest of my year deleting the 277 apps on my phone and then resubscribing to them all with sign in with Apple instead of Facebook. So I've got a busy year ahead. Now, this seems like a cool feature.
And they said they're going to mandate that if you have sign in with Facebook and sign in with Google, that you have to have sign in with Apple as an option.
And we know everybody's going to listen.
I thought they were actually going to stop that. I thought that third-party apps that were trying to get more information by using emails, they're done. I
know they said they're going to stop the tracking on the kids apps, where they can't be doing like ads and pop-ups and stuff on apps specifically targeted to kids anymore.
Can we get them to say kids and Brian?
Kids and blind people. How about that?
That's cool. I fall into one of those categories.
Both.
Like I said, I was disappointed that I couldn't catch this in real time, because I think there were a lot of very exciting announcements, unlike the last several years. And I'm excited for it.
Well, Brian, if you would have followed the accessible tech community for blind and visually impaired, there was a post on there showing all the multiple ways that you could watch the event.
Oh my goodness, I wonder who put that there.
Serina, if you rewind this 5 seconds, you'll hear her voice again.
I did read a lot about it, and I caught the 8-minute video that I think Cult of Mac put out, or Cult Classics, or whoever puts that out. And so I guess for now...
Cult Classics.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, that's a totally different group.
Oh, okay. Apple WWDC 19. It's a cult classic already, Apple WWDC 19. Anyway, we are That Blind Tech Show, part of BAPE, the Blind Abilities Podcast Empire. You can listen to us on your podcast player of choice, your A Lady, your G Lady, your S Lady. Pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast, you can find us. And for now, we are out.
I'm so sorry for giving him BAPE.
I love BAPE. I love it. I
so
love
sorry.
it.
He's never let go of that.
Yeah, no.
I've loved it. I love acronyms.
That was all my fault. I'm sorry, Jeff.
BAPE, Pokemon, BAPE, Pokemon. It's all the same to him.
Yeah, it's all good fun and everything.
Jeff is gonna listen back to this and think that we were all...
And if you want to fill in the blank there, what was Serina gonna say? Just send us an email at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. A great big thank you goes out to Marlon for his humor, and to Stephen Letness for his beautiful music we used in the clip about the Apple soldiers. Enable the blind ability skill on your Amazon device just by saying, enable blind abilities. I want to thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations
and the reality
of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.